Hi everybody, this is Pam with Jesusjunkjournals, and I am going to do some jelly plate printing today. Now, I will tell you right away that I am not an expert on jelly plate printing. I do just enough to do some for my journals, but there's a lot more you can do with it, and if you're interested in it, you should go out and look for some videos on that specifically. But today, I'm going to do some. So here is my jelly plate. Now, it's got, see the crackles? It's got paint on it, and that's okay. Some people never clean their jelly plates, and if you're not like that and you want it to be pristine, you can clean them. But whatever's on there will come off eventually, and it just adds to me kind of the grunginess and kind of what I like about it. Now, I will say, these colors are pretty wild, so I think I might do a test print before I actually put some on a journal page. So let me go get some extra sheets of printing paper. So I use, this is a copy paper, but it's a heavier copy paper. It's not like what you buy, you know, at Walmart to run through your printer for emails. So I'm going to do that. And then I have a roller, and it's not cleaned off either. And then I have an old journal, not a junk journal, just a journal that I clean my roller off on. And then eventually I can tear these pages out and use them in my junk journals. So, assuming that I didn't glue them together. But that's kind of what I use this for. So I'm going to have this over to the side. So I'm going to put my paint on, and then I'll just like roll the roller off on this just to kind of clean it off. So I also have a stencil because I thought I would demonstrate that. So here's a stencil. And then what I'm going to use are just acrylic paints. And I've got all different kinds. I've got Apple Barrel from Walmart. And I have expensive ones from, you know, how you do, various places where I thought I had to have something. This was on sale at Hobby Lobby for half price, I think, but that's one of my favorite colors, so that wasn't a problem. Another one of my favorite colors. The one color you definitely have to have is white. So I have a big old bottle of white. And let me just say, kind of jelly plate printing 101, whatever you put down first is what's going to show when you print it, because it flips over and what's on the bottom comes up on top and just reverses. So whatever you want to show, you want to put on the first layer. So for instance, you see this crazy paint here. Now, I'm not sure how this is going to work, but I'm going to put some paint on it to try to get some of it off. And so the other thing you want to be careful is it's really easy to put too much paint on the jelly plate. That's probably the main mistake people make. So I'm just going to take this paint, roll it out really, really well. I've got a piece of paper under this so it doesn't stick to my table. And I just move it around with it. So you want to get your paint on. The other thing you want to do is not wait too long because the paint will dry. So, I mean, it's not hard to do, but you kind of have to be about your business when you do it. And then you take your piece of paper, put it on there, and you can use your fingers and hands and rub it, but of course I had to buy the fancy speedball, whatever this thing's called, and it's to smooth it down. And it does help if you're doing a lot of prints because your hands do get kind of tired after you've done a few. So it's nice. Just making fun of myself because I'm always buying what they tell me that I should have. And then you want to start pulling it up. Oh, now see, my paint dried. Okay, so there's a demonstration of what not to do. So what I'm going to do, just for fun, don't want to do that. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit more paint. Just a little bit more. And we'll see what comes up. If this top layer is all it comes up, it's all right with me because it's pretty. We'll see. All right. I'm going to actually put that same piece of paper down. And It's not, and it's not sticking either. Oh, probably because it has paint on it. Okay, a little bit of it's coming off. Okay, so this is starting to do what a jelly plate print does. So see how it pulls up that old paint off of there. And you can get some really cool colors and patterns and things like that. So this is good. I can put it over in my paper collection and add it to, you know, to use for other things. So I'm just going to keep working on this. Let me put some more paint. Might put a little bit of green on it and see. Apparently it's going to make me work a little bit to get this paint off of it. It's been sitting on there for quite a while, so maybe that's the problem. But I'm going to put this, swish that through it to mix it just a little bit better. My little piece of paper is working against me today. It's making it slide around there. Okay, so let me get my burnisher or whatever it is. I forget what they call it, but and when you do this, generally you want to be careful because if you wait too long, this paper can stick to it and then you won't be able to get your paper off of it. Okay, so remember I put the pink on first and then the green. So I'm getting the pink and the green, so it's gradually starting to pull up the different colors. And actually, I kind of like this. And so what I want for my junk journal is this kind of look. I want it to be subtle, and I want it to be something that I can add other things to. And since I'm not really making a commitment about a design or anything yet, it's just something to have on the paper so that I'm not staring at a blank piece of white paper. So I'm going to go ahead now and use my actual journal pages and do a few of those. So I'm not going to use the stencil just yet. So let me get this and maybe a little pink. Ooh, that's way too much. Okay. All right, well, let's see what happens. That is a lot of paint. Okay. Okay. Clean my roller off. I'm going to take my one of my sheets. And the other thing you want to be careful of is keep your fingers clean. And that's why I didn't want to trim this, because it's a little bit larger than the jelly plate, and it helps keep my fingers from touching the wet paint when I do this. And that way I don't get paint on my finger, because what will happen is you'll touch the paint and then you'll touch your paper and rub it, and the next thing you know you've got paint lines all over it. So if you don't trim it, it gives you that little edge of protection. Okay, let's see what we get. Okay. Yeah, it's starting to pull up clear down to the jelly plate here and there. So that's pretty, I think. And there's a texture to it. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a definite texture to the layers of the paint. Okay, so there's one. So I'm going to just keep going. I want white. I might add a little bit of coral if I can find something. Let's see, flamingo coral. Oh, let's try that. I'm just gonna put a few drops, and maybe just we'll see if I can get a few drops to come out without. This is all or nothing, it seems like. Okay, so let's see what that does. And see, now when you do this, watch, you're gonna get these blobs. And if you keep rolling, it just muddies all together and turns into one color. So you don't want to overdo it, but you kind of want to mix it up, right? So you can take this and do this to kind of mix the paint so you don't get these weird blobs. Unless you like the weird blobs, and then you can do it. All right, let me try that. I don't really like that zigzag, that definite zigzag either. Okay. All right, make sure I don't have paint on my fingertips. And take this. Okay. All right. Now, the other thing you can do is, actually, let me get a bigger stencil. Let me show you another technique. Okay, so you're probably used to seeing these kind of stencils that are small and they're scaled to a journal more than, you know, that you're used to. But there's another size, a scale of stencils out there that are large. And I have quite a few of them. And so you can use these. So let's see. So I'm going to put a little bit more white over this because it's already got a lot of color. And I'm going to roll that over it. So remember I told you that whatever's underneath, whatever's on the bottom is what shows on top when you print it. So this is white. Now we're going to make it a little more complicated because I'm going to lay a stencil over it. So I'm going to take this stencil and lay over it, take my paper, page, and lay over it. And then, now with this, I'm going to use this burnisher, but then I'm also going to use my fingers because I want that paint in those little detailed cutouts to come through. And so I like to push it down really well with my fingers on these kind of deals. And then when you pull it up, you get the stencil pattern, which is gorgeous, I think. So that's a lovely technique. And now, here's the other cool thing. You take that off and you're ready to make what they call a ghost print. So I'm going to take my other sheet of paper and lay that on there and burnish it. And then peel this off and you get the reverse of the pattern with the ink that's left, or the paint that's left. And mine's really subtle because I'm using a lot of white, but you can make it bolder if you want to. And I still have a lot of cool paint on there. So I could keep going. The thing about this is it's kind of addictive. You keep doing it and you just want to keep making more and more and more. So I want to move the green around. I don't want a big blob any one place. And I've got pink on it already. So I'm going to add some white and then roll that on. Get this green kind of on my roller so it goes other places. And that's quite a bit of paint. Okay, and then I'm going to take, let's see, don't want that stencil. Again, you don't want to waste too much time picking things out. Do it ahead of time. And then take your paper. I can get away with it because it's got more paint, so it's going to stay wet longer. And then take my burnisher and do that. And then again, because it's got those cutouts, I want to push it in really well with my fingers. And see how you get paint on you. And so be sure you don't touch with that. And here is that one. So cool. And there's a lot of texture to the paint. I don't know if you can see it. And then again, pull it off and you've got all this going on if you want to use it. You don't have to. You can add more paint to it and just keep going. But I'm going to use it. I like it. So burnish it. And pull it up. So I think it's pretty. Now I haven't used any blue yet. I wonder if I could use a little bit of blue or aqua. I'm going to use that. And do I want to use, I might regret it, but I'm going to use a little bit of purple. Ooh. And then of course white. This is going to be, ooh, this is going to be crazy. I may or may not put this on my page. Let's see. I might do a sheet of paper on this and get rid of it, but I don't know, it's kind of pretty. I'm going to go ahead and do it. And let's see. I think I'll just do, just going to use it as is. I'm not going to use a pattern on it. I mean a stencil on it. And you know, the thing about it is if you don't like it, you can always put something over it. So there's that. Okay. So there's that. And now, let's see, what do I want to do? I'm going to add a little, I think I'll add a cooler blue instead of aqua, like a sky blue. Let's see. And then maybe some, let's see, where's my white? There it is. Right in front of me. Okay. And then remember, what's on the bottom will show up on top. So this is the bottom layer, but we should pick up stuff off the bottom. Again, I'm not going to use a stencil. I'm just going to use a piece of paper. And there is that one. So that'll be, I think, a nice base to add some decoupage to. Some other things. Kind of relates to the other stuff on the, and I'm just going to keep going. I think I've got 2 or 3 more sheets. I'm just going to go ahead and have at it. I'm going to put some pink and coral. Why not? Why not put, oh, why not put every color of the rainbow on here, right? If it doesn't look good, when I roll it out, I can always use that copy paper to print some of it off. Yeah, which I think I might do. That might be a bit much. Okay, so I'm going to just take my copy paper, blot some of that paint off. I can feel it. When you feel it move like that, you know you've got too much paint on it. And that's pretty, and that will work great for later for an extra paper. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. So now I want to add green and white, of course. Don't need much because it still has quite a bit of paint on it. And I guess I'll use a stencil just for fun. Oh, oh well, I've got paint on both of these. Now this is acrylic paint, so you really need to get it washed off eventually so it doesn't build up too much on your stencils. Okay, so I'm gonna lay this over it. So the stencils, Even if you don't have the greatest colors on there, the stencils make them look awesome, I think. So I'm going to pull that off real quick. So you're going to learn how long to leave it for. Like, you want it to stick to the paint, but you don't want to leave it so long that your paper sticks to your plate. So there's kind of a learning curve. Now see, I let it stick longer, and so it's pulling up more of that background, which is, I like it. I think that's cool. So that I like a lot. Very grungy and old looking. And we're getting a lot of that old paint off too while we're doing all this. And this is cheap paint from the Dollar Tree store. So like I said, any kind of paint will work. Ooh. All right, a little more intense. And then pull this off and lay my last page on here. See, now I've got this sheet, got this plastic sheet bunched up here. If I'm not careful, that paint is going to get on my hands, and the next thing you know, it'll be on my paper. So, okay. All right, and there's that one. Okay, so that's the ghost print. That looks pretty good. Okay, well, I think I really didn't intend to jelly plate print on every single page I had left, but there you go. So I think I'll stop now, and the next time we get together, I'm thinking we'll do decoupage, probably. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.